Hey guys, welcome back. And today we're going to talk about Axon Enterprise and how I believe it'll be a good addition to my portfolio and how they're going to make the Bullet obsolete. Now first, let's take a look at this video from their CEO.
In the early 1990s, two of my high school football teammates were shot and killed in a road rage incident in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I just became passionately interested in the gun violence problem. I believe the way we really solve problems permanently and deeply is through technological change. In a society that has a lot of violent crime, has a lot of public safety challenges, what's happening with all of the anger and pain around police force incidents, I think there's clarity of need to drive that change, because gun control in the United States, the political movements have not made a significant impact, and I wanted to take a different approach. What if we could make the bullet obsolete?
Now that was Rick Smith, the CEO of Axon Enterprise. Now, Smith here wants to make the bullet obsolete by replacing it with tasers and other non-lethal weapons. But that's not all the company is trying to do. They sell body cams, dash cams, drones, and their cloud services, all to pair together into one ecosystem. Now, their cloud services have been a constant grower for the company, with over 70% gross margins and growing 35% year over year. Cloud business works by using data from the body cam, dash cam, drone footage, and sensors in both of the holsters, all to pair together to make a cohesive story about what happened on the event in highly stressful situations and other law enforcement encounters. And then enables it all to be centered in one location on the cloud server, where you can go back and look through all the data, and they can even be used in courtrooms in the future. Now, their mission statement states 3 different goals. The first one being capture the truth. And they use the body cam footage as well as dash cam footage and sensors to record important information in highly stressful situations. Their second goal is to protect life, and that's by using non-lethal weapons and making them more effective to where you can stop someone without having to end their life. And their final goal being to accelerate justice. Now, to do that, they are using all of their information and data that they've gathered during the law enforcement encounter, and then using that in the courtroom or in any other report that needs to be filed. Now, this all sounds really good and pretty virtuous, but are local and federal governments, as well as private contractors, willing to pay for these services? Well, let's take a look. Now, let's start out with revenue growth. Axon Enterprise is growing their revenue at over 26% for the past 3 years, with strong numbers from their fleet, taser, and cloud services. But what Axon is focusing on lately is their reoccurring revenue streams from their software and cloud products. And we've seen over the past year, the revenue from cloud and software products have come from $260 million to now $360 million, showing impressive growth, with even a net revenue retention of 119%. Now that stat is really important because it shows that the government and agencies that use these products are not churning, and that they like the products so much that they're even coming back and giving them more of their money and purchasing more and more products, deepening themselves into that ecosystem that Axon is creating. Now, another important stat to be aware of is their future contracted revenue. And now that's grown from under $2 billion now to $3.3 billion this year, which shows that they are selling and making bigger contracts for longer periods of time. Now, if there's anything that investors have learned over the past 5 to 10 years, it's that institutions and the market in general really love this software as a service business model. And Axon seems to be taking that very seriously. Now, Axon seems to be executing this plan by pivoting away from just hardware sales to now really pushing their cloud products with high 70% margins and rapid growth over the past few years. Now, another reason that this is good for investors is they want to move their business to something similar to Microsoft and Amazon, where they have massive cloud services that then generate recurring revenue that is very predictable and can be distributed back to shareholders consistently. And now, looking at these faster growing companies, it's important to look and see if they are diluting their shareholder. And in this case, they've only diluted the shareholder 14% since 2018. Now, that's not dilution at an alarming rate, but it is something to keep an eye on. Now, their method to reduce churn is very similar to Apple's. Now, they have great software and great hardware that they leverage against one another to then create an ecosystem that is just harder and harder to move away from. For example, when you buy an iPhone, that may not be enough to keep you from switching to an Android a year or two later. But if you have an iPhone, an Apple Watch, AirPods, a MacBook, you are far less likely to switch over to Android or Windows. And I think that it's somewhat similar to this scenario where Axon has built such a great ecosystem within the hardware of the tasers and the body and dash cams that it's very hard for customers to want to switch away from that. And when you add cloud services on top of that, the switching costs will just be far too high and it'll greatly reduce churn over time. Now this is what I believe to be a great addition to my portfolio, with fast top-line growth, a clear path to profitability, a fast-growing, high-margin cloud business, and not to mention a very powerful mission. I think that this company will be a great addition to my portfolio, and I'm excited to see what the company has in store for the future. Although there is a bright upside for Axon, there is always risk involved when investing, especially when a company relies so heavily on government spending. If the federal or local and state governments decided to cut back on law enforcement spending, Axon could see a meaningful downtrend in their revenue over the years. Now, do I think that it's probable that the government will cut or reduce spending to local agencies and law enforcement? Well, no, I don't. But it is possible, and it's something to take into consideration before investing in this company. Currently, this is a smaller position in my portfolio at around 1%, and I'm looking to increase that to around 4 to 7% because I'd like to be more concentrated in the holdings that I truly believe in. But hopefully, with a more tumultuous economy on the horizon, I will be able to pick up more shares at a cheaper price. Now, don't forget to do your own research and go and read their 10Ks and listen to their earnings reports and study who their management team is, because I've displayed a lot of the positives and a few of the negatives and the majority of the major points about this company, but there's a lot more to take into consideration when investing in a company. And with that being said, if you like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.